going on, everybody? It's Keegan Dimitrovic. Something was on my mind the last few days, and I wanted to bring it up rather quickly. So, one thing that I think kind of gets misconstrued is the past when it comes to not just philosophy and even history, but when it comes to mental health. And recently did some researching about depression from antiquity to the 17th and 16th centuries and even 18th centuries. And one thing that I've kind of come to a consensus about is the discussions of mental health back then are omnipresent in today's world. And I would know that because I go through it. So the assumption that I think was a big motive back then was there were the four humors, and if you had an excessive amount of black bile, that's when your depression would be at its apex. And back then, clinical depression, as we call it now, is melancholy. That's exactly what it was called. And I think melancholy is a word now that's more used in just literature, and even in creative writing. But really, melancholy is the genesis of depression and its discovery with human beings back in previous centuries. I think, at least from my perspective, melancholy is what's been taking over the world right now. A lot of people don't publicly reveal it, but so many people struggle, and melancholy is really a form of depression that completely takes you out, and you are depressed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and every day out of the month. So that's something that I think really surprised me, was how much the ancients were predicting the future. And melancholy is something that a lot of us go through, and even I go through it, because when I'm writing or when I'm doing my research for education, I'm doing it from melancholy. So if you look at Robert Burton's The Anatomy of Melancholy, he says that he himself writes from melancholy, and he writes melancholy to cure melancholy. And really, he's curing his own melancholy. And I do that too, and I'm sure a lot of other people do, which is why so many people, for lack of a better term, have diaries or journals. And really, somebody like Robert Burton wrote a diary in the form of The Anatomy of Melancholy. And that's something we do now. So really, there is a big relation, and I would love to even discuss this further. So if you have any comments or questions, just feel free.